Welcome back on the AM show. Time now for the news review. And this segment brought to us by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. You know what they offer? Prostate screening if you're a man, for free. Fertility screening if you're a woman, for free. Now, here's where you can locate them. Here in Accra at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard, there's Kumasi Kronomabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrade Anaji State, there's Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa and Siama and Zema. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. And even as I talk about a legitimate outfit, I'll keep reiterating, we'll have this conversation later on the show, but more and more people keep calling me. Yesterday, someone I was in school with, secondary school with, way back in the day, called me about this miracle product that cures seemingly hypertension. And I had to tell him, no, these are fraudsters, that we've issued a notice on that, a public alert. So we'll keep doing this, yeah? These are fraudsters using cloning my voice, using images from here that are actually not from here, but using them for nefarious activities. These are criminals, to put it mildly. And they are peddling these drugs online, creating the impression that they are from here. They are not. So don't purchase these products. You do so at your own risk. Having said that, later maybe I'll put up the notice on TV so you see it, but let me introduce my guest to you for this morning. He is the UN's eminent peace ambassador, Dr. Sam Ben Owusu. He joins us for a conversation as we get into the papers. Doc, good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to have you on the show. Second time, yeah?
Yes. Good to have you too. You're looking great.
Thank you. It's good that though I'm under the weather, you can't see it. Yeah. That's a good thing.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
But now I think I can see it from your eyes.
You can see it from my eyes now.
Yeah.
Well, forgotten country. These are some of the sacrifices
That's it.
Between the last time we spoke and now,
you're right.
What are some of the things you've noticed that maybe you would like to bring to the fore? Of course, there's been that flooding situation in the Volta region.
I think that's very urgent right now. You know, it's a very serious situation. And I think another one is also happening in the Bono East, and we are not talking about it at all. And even Makola fire outbreak, there are over 200.
It's not that we are not talking about it. We have.
Just that it's not serious, you know. We are really focusing on the Volta region, which we are not even doing much there, considering what we are supposed to do, expecting people to sleep in classrooms and things like that, and we just leave them like that, and we think that, oh, it's okay, we are giving them food and water and things like that. I think we could do better, much more better as a country, considering where Ghana has come so far and things like that. But do you know that day that I was here, my father passed away? As I left here, I received a news that my father died that day. That's the day.
Our condolences. I mean, what a way. Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah. Well, as I was live with you, calls were coming through and things like that. So the moment I got out there, I received the news and things. But it's well, you know, it's something everybody will go through, I think. So if you have not gone through, your own is coming.
Well, everyone gets to that stage.
Right.
Lost my father when I was only 6.
Wow.
Not the best of situations.
Wow.
But
not
life has been, God has been gracious, and life has been, gracious to us as well. Our condolences to you and the family.
Thank you. Okay.
So on the back of that, let's talk about some other matters. I have the Daily Graphic, the Daily Statesman, and the Custodian newspaper. What do you have?
Daily Guide.
The Ghanaian Times, and then?
Ghanaian Times also, and have the publisher, and have the finder.
Okay, let's start with the Ghanaian Times newspaper.
Okay. Victims cry for more help as conditions worsen. I think it's almost the same that we are talking about.
Maybe after the headlines, we can get some of the details of that story to find out what exactly it's saying in addition to what we already know.
I think they have received some few items from government and from private individuals and organizations. I think
we've seen the tanker drivers,
things like that.
among many other. Some have done really well.
Some
have done really well because without their effort, I don't know where this entire relief strategy would have been with NADMO and its own bottlenecks and government's own lethargic response. I don't know where.
But it's so sad. It's so sad that we have a deliberate case. We have a case that we know the implications, and yet we do not plan. We do not have a very systematic plan for such a case that we are going to create. It's a very sad situation. In other words, like you and I sitting here, if anything happens to us right now, we don't know, we don't have any system of hope where we are going to have help and things like that. And, I think that it's a wake-up call that the nation should take all this mess that we are creating for ourselves to put up a very strong, systematic plan so that if anything happens, this is what we are going to do to help our people. Because this thing that we are doing to help them, we have to also understand that there is a lot of things that have been destroyed, a lot of things.
Some are calling for compensation.
Compensation, yes.
Some are saying that's what I'm coming. Relocated to certain. Yes. I mean, there are so many things that have been.
So many things that we really need to have a whole system, a commission or agency to look into the matter and to the plight of the people, and then also establish them. Because if you are feeding them today, what about what they have lost? Because somebody could have saved something better and things like this. Is not a problem by emergency from heaven. No, this is our national emergency. We decided to create the problem for them, and if we decided to create a problem for them, we have to decide to also set up a system that will also relieve them eternally, not just common rice and toilet rolls and things that we give to them, expecting them to clap their hands for us and things like that. And a lot of the people have not even got their shares and other things. So I think we are all calling. We are calling for a very a great intervention system where everybody will at least have something in their hands and things like that. It's a very serious case that we should not joke with it at all. Some of these cases can create an insurgency. Some of these
they can create insurgency.
Yes. Some of these cases,
they can destabilize our national security.
Right.
How so?
Hungry. You deny them of their right. And you take them from their place, and you are not taking good care of them. And this is not like something that they just wake up for it to happen. No. This is what a whole nation planned. We are all at fault. We knew this case would come.
Some would tell you that it has been a long time, about 50 years, since there was the scale of a disaster. Do you get it? The spillages happened year on year.
Yes.
And the engineers would also tell you that at a point, the pressure of the water on the Akosombo Dam was so intense that the dam was virtually vibrating. It was pulsating. You get it? The same way you're
almost we have to do it.
So we had no option. But the question is, when you do that, what are the consequences? What are the measures that are put in place to ensure that these things do not happen? So it doesn't happen this frequently.
That's it.
It overtakes communities.
We are aware.
But it has happened before. And it has happened again.
And we are even aware. And they had a projection, system that they were aware that this thing was going to happen. And you were listening to one of the directors and things like that from VRA saying that, the people are aware. We told them that when the water is coming, they should find their way. Like how? How do you tell them when the water is coming, they should find their way from which country? Where are you telling them to go?
Very difficult situation to deal with now is the water. Yeah. Now, there are burial sites, cemeteries, other places, rubbish. Yeah.
And the water has taken all.
The water has taken all of this. Yeah. Now, the water the mass of water has become polluted, contaminated. Yeah. Some people have been cautioned not to use them for anything.
Right.
But this also means that even when the waters recede, this could create a health emergency.
Yes.
Cholera,
even
among other things that the people likely would face. And their structures themselves, with water overtaking their structures for this long. Yeah. The structural integrity
of the buildings, their houses.
Some have already collapsed.
Their shops.
Some have already collapsed. So
looking at all this,
it's quite a disaster.
I don't know. I'm not an expert. I'm just asking. Couldn't we have created another artificial dam somewhere? Since we know the volume of the water is such a huge, because we heard that Kwame Nkrumah created artificial dams and things like that. Look at our Shamine, Ajay Kojo area. I think we could have done something better like that.
What has come into sharp focus has been the fact that there are even times when we have dry spells and the Akosombo Dam itself needs water. So at the time when you have excess water, it's like in the Bible when Joseph narrated Pharaoh's dream.
And
right?
You are telling them that we are going to.
In the time of bumper harvest,
it's a very serious
you store, and then in the time of need, you release. In our case,
and use it.
The water comes and we waste it.
We waste it.
And there are times when we actually.
What about next year? We wake up next year and we are not going to have this water again. Then we cry again that, oh my God. We are in trouble as a nation.
Well, I guess it all boils down to
it's a very serious
leadership and thinking in this country. And again, it will always take you back to...
We have the expert.
We do.
Qualified expert.
So why they can't think outside of the box, or maybe to be fair to them, maybe, because I've heard some of them talk about some solutions. Maybe if you proffer a solution and you don't have the logistics to execute, that is also another point. But it just gets you reflecting sometimes. You just mentioned the artificial dams and the rest. Nkrumah forethought all of these.
Right.
And how many? About 60 years on.
Yes, we still
can't think along those lines. It's pathetic, but
very, very pathetic.
Anyway, so other stories from the Ghanaian Times newspaper?
Ghanaian Times newspaper.
Are there any other stories you'd like to take?
Always at forefront of African unity. Yeah. So Ghana has been tagged as a beacon of democracy in Africa. And indeed, we are trying. We have really, really tried our best. But I think we should do more, especially looking at the intolerance system. I should read some more. Okay.
You can give us some details of the story.
Okay, the page 13. Ghana always at the forefront of Africa unity. Ghana ambassador to Germany, Gina Amable, has stated that Ghana has traditionally been at the forefront of activities aimed at promoting African unity and development. She cited Ghana's participation in the Compact with African Initiative as evidence of the country's conviction in the transformative power of collaborations and partnership. Addressing the African Insight event organized by African Veteran in Wednesday, Mrs. Blaze said the G20 Compact with Africa is more than just a paper proposal. It's a pledge that offers a brighter future for millions throughout the continent. It's a pledge to bring about macroeconomic stability, business reforms, and robust financing structures that can catalyze a new era of private investment in Africa, especially in the realms of infrastructure development, she said. Mrs. Blaze stated that this year, as the conference shifted its focus to policy issues with business relevance in Africa, it was critical for stakeholders to understand the broader implications of G20-led cooperations with 12 African countries, including Ghana. It's our belief that the Compact will continue to serve as a platform to address political actors within both parties, synchronizing country-specific reform plans and promoting investment opportunities, which will serve as a block for a prosperous Africa, she noted. According to her, Germany G20 presidency in 2017 was a turning point for the Compact. So,
So interesting dynamics in there, quite a number of things she actually has to say. And what are your thoughts on what she's saying?
Yeah, I think that now if you look at the world is looking at Africa as a center for democracy and things that for the next development of the world. And everybody is trying to come here. So I think that our democracy is very important, maintaining and sustaining the system of democracy in this part of the world, especially Ghana, because looking at the issues that are happening in neighboring countries and things like that, we really need to maintain it so strong to the extent that all these implementations will now be channeled through Ghana to the rest of African countries and things like that. G20 focusing on Ghana investments and things like that. It's a great deal. And if we have the whole G20 coming to have a conference in Ghana, that's a great deal for Ghana. Yeah. That's a great deal for Ghana. So we thank God for such upliftment, but we pray that small things that is happening here to deal with it. The intolerance that we are dealing with, the media and all those things, we have to deal with them, because these things are signals, that really takes away all this investment and the programs and things like that. Thank you.
Right before you get into the daily guide, let me bring in the daily graphic and what it has to share. Tertiary Business Sense Challenge. University of Education Winneba are 2023 champions. There's also UPSA Congregation, Utilize Technology for Growth. Editor Graphic urges youth. At Cabinet Retreat, government will spend within means next year. That's according to Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah. Implement low-cost drug policy, Medical and Dental Council tells government. On the back page, sports, Nations FC and Kotoko split points, and that's how it actually ended in that contest. It was a 2-2 drawn game. FC Samatex hold hearts in Accra as well. That one, also a goalless draw. So if you look at the league table right now, Nswatriman is on top after having played 5 games with 10 points, followed by Samatex, Bofuakwa, RTU, Adriana FC, Olympics, Kotoko down in 7th. And let's see, Hearts of Oak down at 15th, in the 15th place. I don't know what exactly is happening to our own Krobi Asante Kotoko and the Never Say Die boys. Accra Hearts of Oak. It's been a turbulent 2 years or so for those teams. But, well, history gives them some backing. Let's see how it goes with them. But this one, implement low-cost drug policy. The Medical and Dental Council has called on the government to implement a policy that will help reduce the high cost of medicines in the country. At the induction of 508 newly qualified doctors in Accra last Saturday, the chairman of the MDC, Professor P.K. Nyame, said the cost of medicines had made quality healthcare a luxury and out of reach of many people, especially the aged and the poor. He therefore urged the government to vigorously support local manufacturers to enable them to produce drugs on a large scale to bring down the cost of medicine. You see, this is one of the areas that has got India, for example, very prominent. You may say that a lot of the time they are producing generic drugs, but generic drugs also serve a good purpose, and they have the industry, and it's contributing to their economy. Why can't we replicate that here? Recently, I was hearing something about vaccine production and all of that. All a good step. It took COVID-19 to wake us up.
Yeah.
You get it. And you look at the high cost of medicine now. A lot of people meet me and they say, my national health card doesn't do, it does practically nothing for me. It does very little for me. I've had people say, oh, it's only the paracetamol and this and that that it covered. The greatest part or bulk of the cost had to be, taken by me. I took the hit.
Very expensive in this country.
Now, some places are also, some medical outfits don't get payment early from the National Health Insurance Authority. So guess what they do? When you go, they are not willing to use your National Health Insurance card. They want you to. So it's become cash and carry.
They have created, they have established pharmacies by themselves.
Yes.
So they will send you to their pharmacies.
Send you to their pharmacies.
Things like that.
Their laboratories. And it's
because the national, it's not really helping them. You have a bulk of chunks of money that have not been paid to them. So they have to also get money to run their companies and things like that. So whilst we are considering this, we need to also look into the system, how we'll be able to help our hospitals and things to become better.
Let's look at some other stories. There's Bazoum's escape foiled. Do you remember the Nigerian president? There was a claim that he had tried to escape with some members of his family. His lawyers say that was not the case, but that's how the cookie has crumbled. I wonder why it would get to the point where a leader would have to be incarcerated, or
it was in Africa,
and then
it was in Africa.
But I mean, this is not to justify in any way what has happened with the military junta, but I'm saying that, can you even think in some jurisdictions of people's rising up, or the military rising up in certain parts of the world and saying, we've taken over and all of that. It's not even a thought that would cross anybody's mind because the right systems are in place. Unfortunately, in many parts of Africa, that is not the case.
Yeah, that's the problem we have in Africa. We have not established institutions so strong to defend our democracy and defend our elections and the choices of the people. You know, our system or our democracy landscape is controlled by the people in charge, the people that is in government. That is not so. The institutions should be so much strong enough that they can tell you that, sit down, my friend, you can't just come here just like that. That's what is happening in our Western world. Their institutions are so strong to defend the Constitution. No matter who you are, you can't just wake up and say you want to do whatever you want to do. And so I think that it's a wake-up call to all of us that we should establish a very strong institution. We don't need President Bush to come here or President Obama to come and tell us. And even after he told us, we are still having the same problem and things like that. When you go to America, president come, president go. Police is police. The
system is the system.
The system is the system. It's not about any government controlling whatever happened. It's the system. It's the system. But here it's not like that. The government controls everything. Our political landscape is very, very different.
It's not the system, it's the individual.
It's the individual.
Or the group of individuals. And that's why Obama said we don't need strong men.
We need
strong institutions. And even in terms of the strength, they are not doing the things that maybe you may contemplate a Lee Kuan Yew and say he was strong or tough in that way. That's not the kind of strength they're exhibiting.
No.
It's strength in corruption and strength in everything negative.
The system can make even a weak man to lead them. A sheep will be leading lions because the system is so strong.
Well, let's look at the system. Kojo Ponkroma, the information minister, is briefing journalists over the weekend. He mentioned at the cabinet retreat that government was pleased with the steady progress of the economic recovery program, dubbed the post-COVID-19 program for the economic growth, and was therefore determined to do everything possible to improve on it. Now, he's basically saying that cabinet has decided the government would not expend resources on any new project or program in 2024, which it would not be able to find the resources to execute. Rather, and I was going to talk about Agenda 111, rather he said the government would focus on the completion of existing projects such as the Agenda 111 hospital projects and further improve the fiscal fundamentals for the intended economic growth. The verdict is out on whether we'll even be able to complete Agenda 111. That's the question. From the practical end of things, from what experts, not I, what experts have said
within a space of
on
1
that
year.
issue.
Within a space of 1 year.
Let's see what happens. Some have said that we have so many medical. I remember there was it in Bolgatanga or somewhere like that, in the children's ward. I did this for my blunt thoughts one day. A snake, venomous snake, was in the pediatric, ward. An outfit that had not seen any sort of refurbishment.
He's coming for a checkup.
The snake was coming for a checkup. That tells you how bad the situation is.
Right.
The University of Ghana Medical Center, top notch, world class.
Right.
But if you go there, you need the wherewithal. You get it. We need that to be replicated across the country. But the cost reduced rather than having a wanton wholesale. We like doing mass things without looking at quality.
Right.
And it's a big problem.
Right.
And maybe our leaders can learn from Mother Teresa. The Daily Graphic quotes her today. She says, "Don't look for big things. Just do small things with great love. The smaller the thing, the greater must be our love." But our leaders, in and out, they like to talk big and do little.
Imagine Kumasi, imagine Ashanti region, Konfanoche, and then we have another like that.
Imagine having about two of those.
Two of those
in every region.
In every region.
Two of those.
The Volta region. My God, we don't need the small plenty that we cannot really manage them. Go to many various small hospitals. They don't even have the basic amenities and the basic things that will help somebody to be treated there. So it's like, what you are saying. We only pray every day. We pray that Ghana will be better.
But prayer
alone does not just bring betterness. We need to work. We need to think.
Miracles happen
Right.
when people believe and
Right.
act
Yeah.
upon the belief. It's not just believing.
So I explain faith as believing and behaving. We need to believe and behave it. That's what faith is. So if we are believing it and you don't behave it, you have missed the equation of faith.
Blessed are those who have not yet seen but believe. But at the same time, what is the action on the back of that belief? Without that action, nothing will happen.
That's what faith without works
is dead. So-called Bible-believing people, and people will always tell us about how other nations who may not necessarily believe what we believe are making strides. I don't believe in denigrating religion, but belief without action is nothing. It's as though, assume God had, planned for your life that you will become UN Secretary General someday.
Yeah, so you see.
But you decide not to go to school.
But live in the village.
You decide to... you could even be picked from the likes of Nkrumah from Nkrofo and everything. But you don't do the things that will put you in the position to be that. You will never be that. And it's the same with our national life. We keep saying, Ghana, Nigeria. I remember, I think in the 80s, Professor Chinua Achebe of blessed memory wrote a book, The Problem with Nigeria.
Yeah.
If you pick that book and you read it today and you reflect on Ghana and Nigeria, the picture from the 80s that he wrote of is the same. Nothing has changed.
Today. The same till
Nothing has changed.
The same till today. The same till today. The same till today.
Let's head to the Middle East. British PM meets, I'm talking about Rishi Sunak, meets Palestinian and Egyptian leaders. You know why. And then humanitarian aid starts entering Gaza, crossing from Egypt. What do you think about the latest, back and forth, if you like, between Hamas and the IDF, Israel and Palestine? Quick thoughts on that so we can...
This issue is not today. This issue had been predicted many years ago. My problem is how we have not been able, the world have not been serious on it to be able to put a stop to the happenings today. And
you think an abrupt stop can be brought to it? It's one of the world's intractable conflicts.
That's it. We could have solved it. We could have solved it. I know where I'm coming from.
How?
There are certain things I cannot just bring it out. That's why I'm just...
But how? How could we have solved it?
We could have solved it by, sitting down with both of them. And because nations have had problems with demarcations of lands and properties and things like that. And the world, the United Nations have been able to deal with such matter. Because human beings are very important than any other thing. And therefore, when it comes to anything that human beings are going to be afflicted or being destroyed, we should do everything possible. We should be able to implement everything resources that we have to make sure that we save the life of people. This is not just today matter. This is something that has been there. It's a documented issue that it will come. In fact, it was about 3-4 years.
Are you making biblical allusions?
No.
Okay.
Not biblical allusions alone. Even though I have a key into that, but I think that something better should have been done. Than seeing people dying and seeing people.
What do you think can be done? Because the way things are, it's basically it's a mutually exclusive. It is either this or that. I have heard groupings also say these people must go; they must not be here. The other one.
That's why I'm very careful in. I'm very careful because of where I'm sitting.
Tricky.
Because of where I'm sitting too, I'm very careful in trying to put the judgment on that. So,
well, we'll leave it there.
Right.
I see it's a thorny subject for you. Let's get into other papers. You have the Daily Guide let's wrap up with the papers you have.
2.37 million euros payment for the ambulance was in error. Tekpa police chase task force commander shooter. Ghana rounded top Africans health insurance coverage. Wait. If we top,
did you just go way when you read that?
If we top Africa, we should be topping the world, not the top Africa, because Africa.
Well, you'll be told you start from somewhere. Anyway, we're on the continent, so but we could take them too.
But at least we've done well. At least we've done well in our insurance system and things. But I think we could do far much more better.
Okay.
And looking at this issue, it's in court.
The ambulance issue.
It's in court. court, so sometimes it's very dicey talking about it. But I think one of the things I would say about this is, if you read through or I should go through it.
You can read some portions.
Okay, former Minister of Finance has admitted that payment for the defective ambulance, for which his then deputy, Dr. Kessel Atuforsen, is standing trial, was made in error. Wow. Anyway, it's in court. But the fact of the matter is, in this country, we can just order things just like that, without any checks and legal framework being put to place, and nobody is checking whoever is doing whatever. That's very serious. If these things happen, and it runs through almost all our department and all our sectors in this country. This one is coming out today, but there are hundreds of thousands of these issues that are happening in our ministries every day, to the detriment of the people, the tax payment people that are paying money, and people are sitting down there issuing orders and doing things without any, whatever.
He has given some explanations on the matter, but the point also remains that these ambulances were deemed defective, not fit for purpose.
Yes.
I remember there was a time when Kasilato Forsen wanted to aid in payments that had to be made, or some, if memory serves, some arrangements to be made. But the point also is that, should anyone be treated with kid gloves when the wrong thing is done? I remember the former Minister for Health, Alex Segbefia, was supposed to testify at a point. We'll see how this pans out. But the point is that any losses to the state that do not, of course, were brought to bear on the back of irresponsibility must be dealt with. In fact, the Daily Statesman also gets into that. It talks about the fact that, according to the former finance minister, he has conceded there are no records that show that he authorized Dr. Kasilato Forsen to request the Bank of Ghana to establish letters of credit as payment for the importation of ambulances in 2014. The LCs were for the benefit of Big C General Trading Limited, a Dubai-based company that supplied defective ambulances to Ghana, resulting in what has become known as the Atuforsen fake ambulances scandal. But Setekpe made the no records concession under cross-examination by Attorney General Godfrey Dami in a case made against Dr. Atuforsen for causing financial loss to the state. So he says there are no records.
There are no records. There are no records.
Let's see how that story pans out.
I think
any other stories to look at?
Men's Gold said he have paid their customers.
There were some 5 million. I heard of some 5 million.
Yeah.
Can you get into some detail on that story as we wrap?
Ghanaian Gold collectible company Men's Gold Ghana Limited has announced a successful transaction verification exercise, resulting in the first bulk payment of 5 million Ghana cedis. The exercise, which according to the company was conducted from August 10 to September 14, 2023, enabled Men's Gold to make payment, which is its first tranche to client. In a statement signed by Men's Gold Chief Executive Nana Appiah, Mensa, popularly known as NAM1, the company said it is also set to complete the full refund of the 82 clients, which purchased the Men's Gold verification digital access card to the company's grant of the same for free. Okay.
I don't even want to talk about this Men's Gold thing anymore. I am the mere fact that these things can even happen in our country. Right,
in our country.
That I don't want to get into it. The mere fact.
The mere fact
that these things can happen points to.
And it has taken us almost 7 years for us to be able to retract the money from this man. So if he has this money all this time, we could do this thing. Why didn't we do it before time?
That's the big question.
And a lot of people have died. A lot of people have lost their job. Companies have collapsed. Enterprises have been shut down. Offices have been destroyed. Okay? Children have died.
Lives have been lost.
Lives have been lost.
Suicide.
People have committed suicide. We knew this thing and we didn't ask him to do it.
God bless our homeland.
For 7 years.
Doc, we're grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Dr. Sam Benowusu is a UN eminent peace ambassador. He's been our guest as we've delved into the papers this morning. As we go, a credible, legitimate health institution, not some of those being peddled on Facebook with these criminals using our images like mine. And if you see them, don't patronize them. But for this one, we are advertising it. It is Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. They're offering free prostate screening, free female fertility screening. Where can you find them? Across the country, here in Accra, at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. Kumasi, Kronumagwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex. Takrade Anaji Estate, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa and Esiama Nzema. If you'd like to call them, the numbers are 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. We're starting with sports, and there's a lot in that world that we're bringing you up next with Muftau Nabila Abdullahi. Do stay.